activAeon is an easy-to-use tool for generating reports to help you be compliant with the terms of the Microsoft Service Provider use rights. The software comprises three different components. Agents. Agents are deployed to servers in a customer environment to collect the information that is needed to calculate the SPLA licenses required for those servers. Central Management Server. The Central Management Server coordinates the system, collects data from agents, persists the data to an SQL Server database, and generates reports. It is installed on a server in the MSP's data center. Management Console. The Management Console is used to manage and configure the system. It can be installed on any computer that has a network connection to the Central Management Server, and can be installed on multiple computers if more than one person needs access to the system. In this video, we will go through adding a new customer to activAeon to see how we can view the SPLA licenses required for that customer. The first thing we need to do is to synchronize with the customer's Active Directory. This enables us to see which of the servers we want to collect licensing information about. To synchronize with that customer's Active Directory, we need to add a new domain. We enter the name of a member server in the domain. An agent is deployed to the server and synchronizes with Active Directory. We can now choose which of the servers in the domain to deploy an agent to, so that we can start collecting licensing information. Agents are deployed to the selected servers. The Central Management Server synchronizes with those servers to collect information required to calculate their licenses. Now that we have synchronized with the customer's domain and servers, we can configure the customer so that we can report on products that require a license for each user that has the ability to access those products. Examples of products that are licensed by ability to use are remote desktop services and Office products. In this video, we will go through the process of defining sets of users that require RDS and Office licenses. Provisioning enables us to map Active Directory groups or organizational units to products so that all users in those containers are assigned a license for those products regardless of whether the users have accessed the products or not. First, we select which Active Directory groups or organizational units contain users that have the ability to use remote desktop services. Next, we create a provisioning group for the Microsoft Office Professional Plus product. We then create a provisioning group for Microsoft Office Standard. And finally, we map the Active Directory objects that contain the users that have access to those two products. We want to report licenses for individual customers so that we can bill those customers for their license usage. In this example, our customer is called Harris, so we create a new customer with that name. We want any licenses assigned to users or servers in the harris.local domain to be associated with that customer in the reports. We do this by associating the harris.local domain with the Harris customer. We're now nearly ready to run a report. The Central Management Server synchronizes with the customer domain each day to collect information about users that have been provisioned. Rather than wait 24 hours for this, we can force the domain to be synchronized. We're now ready to run some reports. The first report we'll look at is the license usage report. We can use this as a billing report for customers because it contains the licenses that each customer needs to report. Here we can see the licenses that activAeon has calculated need to be reported for the Harris customer. We can see the RDS, Office Professional and Office Standard licenses for users that have been provisioned for those products. We can use other reports to get a more detailed breakdown of the licenses associated with a customer. The customer license report contains the same set of licenses as the license usage report, but it shows exactly which users or servers have been assigned a license. Here, we can see a breakdown of the licenses that activAeon has calculated need to be reported for the Harris customer. We can see exactly which users have been granted RDS, Office Professional, and Office Standard licenses, and which servers have been granted Processor or Core licenses. If we have a customer that has multiple domains, we can synchronize with each of those domains so that we collect license information for the customer's entire environment. We do this by managing the customer's other domains. In this case, the Harris customer has one additional domain, so we deploy an agent to a member server in that domain. As before, we simply enter the name of a member server and deploy an agent to that server. Then we choose which servers to deploy an agent to. Now we have synchronized with the Harris global.local domain, we can associate this with the Harris customer in the same way that we did for the Harris.local domain. Now we can view some reports with our customer's additional domain. First, we can look at the license usage report for a summary of the additional licenses associated with the customers after adding the new domain. Here, we can see the additional Exchange licenses that have been added to the report after synchronizing with the additional domain. Now we want to add a second customer. The workflow is the same as before. Synchronize with the customer's domain, select which servers in the customer's domain we want to collect licensing information for, deploy agents to those servers, create a customer object, and associate the customer's domain with the customer object. We enter the name of a member server in the domain. We deploy the agent. We select which servers we want to collect licensing information for. We deploy the agents. We want to report licenses for our new customer, so we create a new customer object. Now we associate the customer's domain so that all licenses assigned to users and servers in the domain are associated with the customer. We can view the licenses associated with the new Perkins customer using the license usage report. Here we can see the licenses associated with the new customer. So far, the reports we have looked at, the license usage report and the customer license report, show a breakdown of licenses by customer. These reports help you to bill your customers based on their license usage. However, your reseller is usually not interested in a breakdown of your customers' licenses. They just want a summary of the SPLA licenses that you need to report to Microsoft. We can use the SPLA report to view this information. This shows all licenses you need to report, but does not break the report down into customers. Here, we can see a simple breakdown of all the SPLA licenses that we need to report via your reseller to Microsoft. As part of the SPLA agreement, Microsoft requires that you report any customer that uses licenses in excess of the value of $1,000 separately in your license submission. We can specify that a customer must be reported to Microsoft by entering that customer's agreement number and designating that it should be reported separately. Now, when we run the SPLA report, the licenses associated with Harris are listed separately. Here we can see a simple breakdown of all the SPLA licenses that we need to report via your reseller to Microsoft, with the licenses for Harris listed separately. Virtualization use rights enable you to report fewer Windows Server and SQL Server licenses when your servers are running in a virtual environment. If you are using Hyper-V virtualization, you can deploy an agent to the hypervisor so that activAeon can detect which operating system environments are running on physical hosts and which ones are running on virtual machines. activAeon uses this information to apply the virtualization use rights rules to reduce your Windows Server and SQL Server licenses. First, we manage the domain that the Hyper-V server is a member of. Then, we choose to deploy an agent to the Hyper-V server itself. We can see that we have detected the virtual machines that are running on the Hyper-V server and the operating system environments that are running on those VMs. activAeon uses the link between the VMs and the virtual host to calculate licenses according to the virtualization use rights. We can also apply virtualization use rights to non-Microsoft virtualization platforms such as VMware by creating a virtual host that represents the virtualization server farm. For each server farm, we specify name and the number of processor sockets and cores in the server farm. Then we link the virtual machines running in the server farm with the server farm itself. Now we can apply virtualization use rights to the VMs in the server farm. Now when we look at our Windows licenses, we see only licenses for the Hyper-V server and the server farm. Here we can see the licenses for the Hyper-V server and the server farm. We can see that there are no Windows licenses for Harris because they are running in a virtualized environment and are covered by the data center licenses. And we can also see that Perkins Windows licenses are also covered by the data center licenses. We have previously seen how we can use provisioning to capture licenses for users that have access to a product but don't necessarily use that product. activAeon also tracks actual usage of RDS sessions and desktop applications such as Office. It uses this information, in addition to the provisioning information, to generate licenses for those products. We will see from the following report that although we haven't provisioned any RDS or Office users for the Perkins company, licenses are still being assigned to the users for those products. We can see this by running the customer license report. If we select the Perkins customer, we can see there are 2 licenses for RDS and 1 license for Office Professional. This is because we have detected actual usage of these products. We can verify this by using the activity reports. The activity reports show details of RDS sessions and application usage. We can use the RDS activity report to check which users have conducted an RDS session during any reporting period. If we sort the report by user, then we can get a list of users that have conducted an RDS session to verify that the licenses in the customer license report are assigned to users that have accessed RDS.